After 3.5 months, I finally achieved the funded status at my first prop firm, and that is a new one called Arctic Funding. They've only been around for a few months, about 3.5 months, and I want to give you an honest review and what I've seen behind the scenes through my entire experience. I wrote a bunch of stuff down that I've been kind of accumulating over the past couple of months, and I want to make sure that if someone is looking to get into this space or this prop firm specifically, they at least have this information so they don't make mistakes like I have, and potentially lose money that they didn't need to lose. So here's the proof. And I now have an account that says funded. I used to have a phase 1. I passed phase 1. I'm going to get through the progressions in a second, a phase 2, and then a funded phase. But I want to explain why I went the prop firm route in the first place. And that was back in 2023. I was trading options, and I was realizing as I was journaling my option trades through TradeZella, subtle plug, but also like I use them every single day, that inside of these option trades, I was losing, or like I guess inside of my strategy, I was losing a lot of money due to theta decay, and I hated having to figure out and pick which expiration date I should choose for this trade. And some trades would take 20 minutes, some trades would take 30 minutes, and some trades I would swing trade. And I'm like, well, how do I figure this out? And it's not as easy as, okay, well, for day trades, I'm going to trade 2 weeks out. And in theory, it was. But there were certain days that theta decay would crush me. And because of the Greeks and different option pricing mechanisms, it was never the same thing. I couldn't just trade similar stocks and guaranteed kind of like a pretty simple process. And so I was like, okay, we got to go to shares. We got to go to shares. It would make things so much better. I wouldn't have to worry about decay and all the different option pricing factors and all that stuff. And that's what I set out to do. The problem was there weren't many prop firms at the time that catered to stock traders. There is one, and I'll throw some names out, but I'm not associated. I don't really care. It's not a shot at them. It's like Trade the Pool, I believe, is one of them. But their profit splits are atrocious. Horrible profit splits with them compared to other prop firms. So I'm like, okay, well, then they cater to stocks. I'm like, well, that's cool, but your profit splits suck ass. So I don't want that. I really don't. That's stupid. I'm not giving you half of my profits or 25% of my profits. Like, no, it's not how it is. And, well, I guess it kind of was how it is, but I'm sure they're going to have to bring those numbers down or change things up. I haven't looked at them since or super recently. So that's how it was back then. So I went with my first prop firm, which ended up being Surge Trader, which eventually went under. And they are no longer in existence, at least to my knowledge, today. And I made about half. I was like halfway through the target for phase 1. With them. So I was up on a $50,000 account. So I was up approximately $2,500 or something like that. And they decided to change things up. They completely changed their tradable assets. They had a good list of like maybe 50 to 75 stocks that you could trade. But they decided to change their tradable asset list, and that completely eliminated all stocks. So no more stocks. And I'm like, well, that's what I trade like 80% of the time. I could trade futures, or I can trade the S&P, or I can trade Bitcoin. Sometimes I'll trade crude oil. Sometimes I'll trade gold and silver sometimes. And you can see them in the trade recaps, which, by the way, I've recapped every single motherfucking trade that I have taken for the past 10 months, 11 months now on the channel under the trade recap playlist. You can literally see them all, every single one. So every single trade that I took to get funded with Arctic Funding, like I've made a recap on. Now, Surge Trader came, I was like, yo, well, if this is how it's going to be, F you, I'm out of here. And so I ended up getting out of that one, which sucked because I was halfway there and it took me a couple of months and I moved on. Then came along another prop firm called One of One, which at the time also, and they still do, had some stocks to trade. And I went with them. Then I see some stuff on Twitter and I see some stuff getting posted around this new prop firm that's coming in that's going to be the prop firm for stock and options traders. And it was Arctic Funding. It was new. And they launched, I believe, around March 20th. That's when they launched. And so that's kind of when I decided to sign up and give them a shot, because I'm like, 1 of 1 was cool, but they only had, select number of stocks. So I was looking for someone who was going to offer more stocks. And I was like, because I trade stocks, I'll swing trade stocks and I'll day trade stocks. And that's where Arctic Funding comes in. So I'm going to walk through my progression from day 1. And then after that, I want to go into kind of like the good stuff and a lot of like my love-hate relationship with prop firms and these guys specifically. So stay tuned for that. This is not going to be a video that is like, yo, they're the best and sign up with my link and all that stuff. Although I will, like I always do for a lot of things, I will leave reference links, which are affiliate links, to the things that I use. Like I use TradeZella, the prop firms I use underneath the videos. If you are interested in checking them out, check them out. But I will tell you, I'm not being paid by them at all. So let's get that straight. They don't even know I'm making this video right now. They have no idea. No one knows. And maybe they'll see it one day and they'll be like, yo, do you want to have a partnership? And I'll be like, I don't know. I don't know, maybe. So my progression from day 1, I purchased a $10,000 account on March 20th. Reason why was I was already with a different prop firm. And I was like, well, I don't want to go too deep into this because, like, what if, it's sketchy? What if they go under, like Surge Trader? What if something happens? I don't know. So I went with a 10K account, which was the cheapest option. I believe I paid under $100 at the time with whatever discount code they had. And they've run different discounts from time to time, so just something to be aware of. And I purchased a stock account through DX Trader, which there was options for a 80% or a 100% profit split. I chose the 100%, which costs a little bit more money, but I chose that. So essentially from now on, any money that I make, like when my account goes up by $150, let's say, after my next trade, hopefully that next trade's up $150, I don't know, I could withdraw that $150 in theory. I won't. I will let it go for a bit longer. I'm not going to just withdraw, $100 here and there, but that's the idea. And I passed phase 1. So March 20th, I purchased the account. I passed phase 1 on June 5th, 2024. Okay, so March 20th, 2024, I buy the account. I pass first phase on June 5th. How do you pass phase 1? You have to make $1,000 before losing $1,000. So it's like, okay, well, make this much, make 10% before losing 10%. And then you also have to make sure you don't lose more than $400 in a day. That's your daily drawdown, which not a problem. I didn't have that issue. If I was, then I'd be trading a little too. Well, I guess not really, because everyone trades differently. But the way I trade, which I'll get into in a second, it wasn't a problem. You also have to have a minimum of 7 trading days with a 0.5% swing. So this is what I'll have more on this in a bit. This is a little sketch, I will be honest, but that's part of it. I'm not exactly sure if that's profit or loss and profit counts, but they want to make sure you're trading it 7 days. So that's something to take into consideration. But I had many, it took me well over a month. So I was like, yeah. Now, phase 2, I passed on July 8th, 2024. So pretty much about a month later, I then passed phase 2. To pass phase 2, you had to make $600 on a $10,000 account before losing $400 in one day or $1,000 total. So pretty good rules. And the same 7-day minimum with a 0.5% P&L swing applies. Meaning that you couldn't, like if I had a day where I made $49, that would technically not count towards the 0.5%, which would not count as a trading day, which is kind of dumb, but it kind of is what it is. So stupid rule, my opinion, but it's a rule, something to think about. So the total time it took me was 3.5 months to go from buying my first and only account with these guys, from buying that to funded. Now, from now on, any money that I make, 100% payouts, 100% profit splits, I keep, essentially. I did not trade every single day. There was actually periods of time where I did not trade for a while. And I did not swing trade or day trade specifically. I did a mixture of both. So some of these trades were swing trades, some of these trades were day trades. And again, I have recaps on all the trades that I have done. My position sizing, this is the next piece I want to get into. This is something that people will look at this and go, it's kind of a long time. I don't give a flying fuck what you think is a long time or not a long time. This is how I made sense of it. I said, okay, I have a $10,000 account from day one. I am not able to lose $1,000. $400 in a day was never a problem. It should never be a problem. It was not, but just, I never thought of that as an issue. It was more so the bigger picture total drawdown number. And I said, okay, well, if we have $1,000, cushion here, what makes the most sense? Because I have tracked, journaled, and logged my trades with TradeZella, I roughly knew over the past couple hundred trades my win rates, my risk rewards, and kind of like what's normal. And in order for me to hit the drawdown, I would have to lose, let's just say, 10 trades in a row at $100 a pop. So I said, okay, losing 10 in a row is probably not going to happen. It could, probably not going to happen though. So let's play with a sizing of a max risk of $100. So I start there with them. I will not lose more than $100 on a given trade. Now, not every trade exactly fit this criteria, but on average, I lost less than $100, well under, on average across all my losers on my Arctic funding trades. And I was looking to make more than that. Initially, I was trading it too small for the first maybe couple of weeks until I got the feel for it. And then I started to fall into the sizing. And as we finished the challenge or finished phase 2, my sizing was pretty set with $100 max risk. And I was looking for about 125 or more profit on every trade. Some trades I'd risk 55, some would risk 95. It would be in that range depending upon the charts and all the trades, and depends upon the stock I'm trading and whatnot and what I'm looking for, swing trade, day trade. And we kind of fell into that rough kind of sizing. Now, because, in my view, because I actually trade normally, not to say normally, there's a million ways to trade, but when I say normally, I mean, for people trading prop firms, they tend to be a little more aggressive because they want to get funded as fast as possible, and then they do things that, if they go on a run, they'll get funded, and then they go on a losing streak, and then they lose the account. That's the progression for most people. Most people who do this stuff do not make money, A. We know that. There was a study out of Brazil a couple of years ago that showed like 97% of people lost money in the stock market or day trading. Not that necessarily means people are going to do that in the stock market, but because of the drawdown rules and the potential like mental side of this thing, which I'll get into in a second, I think it's a very, very good chance that we're looking north of 90% of people who open these accounts are losing money. And when I say losing money, meaning that the prop firm's making money off of them. So they are doing quite well. And I wanted to trade normally. I'm like, okay, well, this is my account. I know my numbers, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to trade this way. If it was my money, maybe I would go a little bit bigger because I didn't have to worry about the drawdown requirements and I would be okay with things. But because of the drawdown requirements, I had to size a certain way, and that was what I stuck to. And that's what I think made the most sense for me. It took me 3.5 months. Did I trade every single day? No. I had some periods where there was no trades for a while. Had some periods where I traded a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 a day. It just depends. There was no, I traded every single day. I did the same day trade. No, it was same setup. I trade one setup now, but it was not every single day. And the time frames were a little bit different. It wasn't on only the 5 minute. It was on the 5 minute, the 1 hour, mostly the 5 minute, and the 1 day. But that's for the trade recap videos. So for the good stuff, platform. Now they have 2, but at the time they had DX Trader. DX Trade was the platform of choice, which I'll be honest is kind of clunky, not the best platform, and it does not have a mobile app. This is a massive, 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 I cannot tell you how massive. If you are from Arctic Funding and you are listening to this video or watching this video, this is the biggest negative to your platform, to your company, that I think would absolutely level you up 10x, not even close, if you got a fucking app for DX Trade. But I'm being serious. I as a constructive criticism, get a goddamn app for DX Trade, because motherfuckers don't always trade on their computer. And if you swing trade, I'm on the go, dude. I don't want to be forced to be at my computer. You literally cannot enter trades from your phone. You could, I've tried, but it's almost impossible. It does not work. Like the platform, the app doesn't work. So get an app. But if you're on your computer or your laptop, you can easily log in, and it's fairly straightforward. The platform is pretty easy to use. Order entry is fairly simple. It's a little bit clunky, but it takes, a couple trades. You're used to it, no big deal. I always go in, I enter my stop loss, my take profit, I adjust my position size, and I either do a buy stop order or I go market order, and that's it. Simple as that. The dashboard is pretty nice too. It shows you kind of where you're at, how far you are along, etc. Did you hit the funding, or where you are compared to drawdown? It's nice. The list of stocks. Here's another piece that I wanted to get into. It's very, very important. If you are someone who trades stocks, listen closely. Prior to the move to Blueberry Markets, they were trading with 8cap as the broker. They only had, I don't know, like a couple hundred, not even a couple hundred stocks, maybe 100 or 200 stocks, not even 200 stocks to trade from. With the move to Blueberry Markets, which right now is only available on the DX trade option, huge piece that is not very clear at all when you're signing up for them or these accounts, you have a fuck ton of stocks. Like, you have a shit ton. The most stocks I have had where I have seen a prop firm offer by far. Maybe it doesn't beat Trade the Pool. I don't know if it does, but it's a lot. Shit ton. So hundreds of stocks, and pretty much all the big names. Pretty much. I know they don't have SMCI, which is kind of weird. It's a pretty volatile stock. I just from checking, because I know it's a volatile stock, and I'm like, if it fit my criteria, I would trade it, but they don't have that available. So it's kind of like, fuck you, whatever. But other than that, that's my only negative right now. I haven't had a problem yet with a stock that I wanted to trade that I can't trade. SMCI is the only one, but huge list. But that's only if you buy or you go with the DX trade Blueberry Markets broker option. If you go with the trade locker option, mobile app, really nice. You got like 50 stocks to trade from or something like that, but a lot less stocks. I don't think there's no Nvidia, there's no AMD if I'm not mistaken. And this is because my brother was looking at it, and he bought the account with Trade Locker and was like, "Yo, what the hell is this?" And then they swapped him over to the DX account. So now he's got all the stocks he can trade as he's trying to test the waters and see if he wants to trade, and he's trying to learn a little bit. So just know that going in. They said they're trying to maybe make a switch or move over to Blueberry Markets with Trade Locker at some point. They've said they want to get a mobile app at some point. They don't have a timeline. I have talked to support a lot, and they don't have a timeline yet. I'll get into more on support in a second. Rules, I think they're fairly standard. They're pretty good actually, right? To phase one for me was make 1,000 before you lose 1,000, and then don't lose more than $400 in a day. Pretty good. I mean, it's not like that's sketchy rules. It's pretty good rules. Phase two was make 600 before you lose 1,000. So once you pass phase one, you're like, okay, you're doing pretty good. Now, can you make just 600 before you lose that 1,000 again? And they reset your account, by the way, when you move on from phase one to phase two. They give you a new account, fresh $10,000 account, in this case, at whatever sizing of the account you choose. The 7-day window or the 7-day trading window with 0.5% is kind of sketchy. Only reason is, in my view, for the larger accounts. The smaller accounts, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but because people are probably going to trade them a little more aggressively and they're cheaper. On the larger accounts, it's kind of like when you build up an account, trading or investing, you're able to like make or risk less to make a more meaningful number, right? You risk less, like a 1% gain on a $10,000 account versus a 1% gain on a $200,000 account. Very different story. Like dollar amount in terms of what that dollar amount would do for you in your day-to-day life, right? Pay rent, cars, and you can pay for a lot of things. Whereas on the $10,000 account, it's not going to do very much. 0.5% is $50 on a 10K account, but do the math on what it would be. It's, on 100K, 200K. You kind of like in your own money, build it up so that you now have the ability to trade with less risk to make more, like dollars, than you could have with a smaller amount of money. But when you come to the prop firm space, because of rules like that, it's not so much the case. So is it that big of a deal? No, because you can still size like fairly small for a prop firm based on how people who trade prop firms a lot trade, because people are really aggressive. A lot of people, from my experience, are very aggressive in terms of like they're going to get funded in a week or they're going to lose the account today. Like that's it. Like it's like okay, relax, dude, relax. Like you don't have to do that, but many people do. That's just kind of the nature, the more like gambling nature of how it is, and that's great because as much as it sucks, it's great because that's what allows these prop firms hopefully to stay in business if they're doing it right. Dumbass people who, I'm sorry, it's just a reality. People who don't know how to trade or who are gamblers are the ones who are funding the actual people who trade realistically, have a strategy and follow the strategy and have position sizing and then don't blow the accounts like that. So something to take into consideration, that stupid 0.5%, if you make less than 0.5% or if your trading is less than that, then it doesn't count as a trading day, which is kind of dumb, but something to think about. It is what it is. Shouldn't be a huge deal, and it won't be a big deal when I go to a larger account size because I'm going to just essentially trade the same exact trades on my $10,000 account, but just 20x the size on the $200,000 account, which I'll get to in a second, my plan. Support. Their support, Arctic Funding, is the best prop firm support that I have seen. Now, I've only got experience with a couple, but it's the best that I have seen. It's not even close. Not even close. Surge Trader support, they were assholes. I'll be honest with you, they were assholes and they gave me a hard time. Arctic Funding, very nice. Very timely. I can't tell you how quick they respond when I have a question or a problem, and I've had a couple, mostly just questions, and then I had one problem, which I'll talk about in a second, but very, very quick to respond. They also actually answer my questions. And the last message I sent was I literally put 4 questions. Like I had a literal 4-question thing. How many people in general in this world will get an email with 4 questions and then go line by line and say 1, 2, 3, 4 in the reply and answer all those questions? Not many at all. They do that. At least from my experience, they have done that for me. I can't say what they've done for you, but they've done it for me. So I'm very happy with that. They did have to I had to manually request review from support when I passed phase 2, because when they changed brokers, they kind of like reset the dashboard. And so I was like already halfway or more than halfway through the $600 target on phase 2 after trading for like 10 days or 10 plus days of trading days. Then I had 3 or 4 trading days on the new broker like account, the Blueberry Markets account, and they had to manually request because like on the dashboard it had only marked that I traded for 3 days, but I'm like yeah, because you have to have a 7-day minimum, right? But I was like no, I had on phase 2 a lot more trading days, so I had to go back and send screenshots of my trade reports or my trade logs and stuff. So that was the manual review request. They took care of that within about 12 hours, and it was taken care of, and it was fine. Less than 12 hours, maybe 10 hours, 9 hours. And it was fine. So then they moved me on to the funding phase. Now, one more other thing that's kind of like a miscellaneous piece. They had to swap brokers. So they said, okay, everyone on DX Trade, you need to sell all your positions by, Friday, whatever time, because we're changing brokers. It didn't rub me the wrong way, but it is a kind of like you're at their mercy. And the reason why is because there were trades, swing trades that I could have taken on that Friday or on that Thursday that I decided to pass up that would have worked very, very well because I knew that they were requiring me to sell everything on Friday and get out and like reset to the new broker. So I'm like, you're at their mercy. If they want to change brokers and you've got a swing position open that's like looking really good and you have to close out of it because they told you so, you got to do it, which you wouldn't have to do if you were with like TD Ameritrade, Webull, whatever other broker you'd use. Not a prop firm. Something that kind of sucks, and it could happen. And it's happened a couple of times, right? I had the first prop firm I used, Surge Trader. They were like, "Yo, we're switching brokers or switching whatever," and they changed all their tradable assets. On the new broker, they added more stock, so it wasn't a negative. But if let's say that they added different assets, like it could have been a negative. Could have been a negative. So overall, pretty good experience. Overall, pretty good experience. There's a lot of negatives, don't get me wrong, and the rules, and you're at their mercy. They want to change things up on you. They can do it. But overall, so far, it's been so good. I'll have more updates in terms of payout times and all that stuff, hopefully. when we get there and we cross that bridge. But my future plan with them is to essentially buy a $200,000 account, which is going to cost me over $1,000 as of right now. Buy a $200,000 account with them, and with that $200,000 account, take the exact same trades on the 10K account. So I'm going to trade the 10K account normally, and even today I might take a trade. We'll see. And then from there, I'm going to then buy a $200,000 account, have essentially the same trade be taken on both accounts, and just trade with 20x the size. So if I know my sizing was 50 shares on the 10K account for this trade, I will do 20x that. And so I'll be, again, same thing, risking the same numbers. I would have to lose 10 plus trades in a row in order for me to hit the drawdowns. So hopefully we'll have this account for some time, and we're going to hopefully go through, even if it takes, again, now I've got a gauge. If it takes me 3.5 months, that's fine. Because $200,000 account, different ball game in terms of dollars and cents when you're talking about payouts. So that's the plan. I'll leave a link to Arctic Funding below. Again, not sponsored. This is my honest thoughts, and they have no idea I'm making this video, and it's my whole experience with them so far. On a $10,000 account, past it, funded, and on to hopefully greener pastures, beautiful, bright horizons. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.